Hello, everybody, and welcome to the NXT review, where pretty much we have no fancy edits. You plug in your headphones, earbuds, AirPods, whatever you got, and you just listen. And we're just gonna break down NXT, give my thoughts, and honestly, you could just comment down below if the comments are working, if YouTube didn't turn them off, what y'all thought about NXT, what y'all thought about certain matches. Let me know down in the comments because this is honestly something where I give my thoughts, and then y'all give y'all's feedback as well, and it's just us chilling here after NXT and talking about it. So, without further ado, make sure to like and subscribe because it really helps out the channel. And if you do those two things, then you'll be able to see more reviews like this. And so, without further ado, actually, this time, let's hop into NXT and give my thoughts. So, NXT obviously started at our normal 8 o'clock tonight on the CW network where I watched it at least. And unless you're like somewhere else across the country, I don't know where it would be over there where you are if you were somewhere else across the country. But we kicked off the show with Blake Monroe versus Kalani Jordan, and I thought this match was interesting. As soon as I saw it announced, I definitely thought it was going to be a good match, but I didn't know if we were going to see somebody come after Kalani Jordan or not. I obviously knew that we were going to see Jordan Grace because of that storyline that Blake and Jordan have after Blake turned on Jordan at Evolution 2. So I knew that Jordan was going to come out, but I did not know where we were going to go with Kalani. But turns out we had Monroe and Jordan Grace fight. Or, my goodness, Monroe and Kalani Jordan fighting. Jordan Grace came to the ring wearing a neck brace, which sent Monroe running into. Oh, good gracious, this is going to be a bad one. But Jordan Grace came out in a neck brace, which sent Monroe running out into the parking lot, and Grace chased after her car, but Monroe hopped into the vehicle before Grace could get to her. Meantime, the ref counted out Monroe to give Kalani Jordan the victory, and then later in the show, which, by the way, before Kalani Jordan ended up getting the win and Blake Monroe got counted out, and right before Jordan Grace came out there, so we saw Blake Monroe hit a nasty headbutt to Kalani Jordan that looked like it landed, and then instantly, while she was getting her hand raised, after that, she was holding her tooth in her chin where that headbutt looked like it landed. So I'm wondering if that headbutt did really land because it looked like it did from a viewer standpoint, from where the camera angle was, but it sounded pretty gnarly too. So I wonder if that actually did connect, which obviously it doesn't matter anyway. We know the result of the match anyway. But it would be nice to know because that was actually pretty interesting there. And in a later segment and like backstage, we saw Kalani Jordan with Lola Vice, where we would figure out that Jasmine Nix has finally had enough and booked a match with Ava for JC Jane and Fallon Henley versus versus Lola Vice and Kalani Jordan. And the whole time while Kalani was talking to Lola and JC, she was holding her tooth, and Lola asked if she was okay. So they're kind of pondering to that injury. But obviously, I don't think it's going to cause any TV time to go out of Kalani Jordan, which is good. But I do wonder if that did connect. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. We see a backstage segment. Chase U asked Andre Chase what their chances were of beating Hank and Tank later, or the up next match, and Andre reluctantly said 1 in a million. Chase U excitedly said, "So you're saying we have a chance?" And Chase said, "I have your back." So now we're kind of seeing Andre Chase kind of buy into the Chase U reunitement type of stuff. We know that Andre Chase has kind of been on the fence about it, to be honest, but now he's kind of finally given in and helping Uriah Connors and Kel Dixon kind of work their way up the roster because this time they were actually getting a title shot. So that's good to see. But still, for me personally, whenever I see people go higher on the roster, I look for their move set, what they're like on character. And right now, they're acting like little kids. Uriah and Kel are acting like it's just they're fanboying. It's kind of yes, that's exactly what it's like. It's kind of like they're fanboying over Chase U and trying to reunite it. It's like it's getting annoying. So I just hope that eventually we'll be able to see them figure their characters out because it's not like they're horrible in the ring. They're actually not bad in the ring. But I don't see this character right now doing anything but being a backstage filler or a filler to fill time for the rest of the show. That's the only thing I see their character right now doing. So I think that currently they have no chance of winning anything. So I think it was pretty obvious that Hank and Tank were going to win. And it turned out that Hank and Tank literally just squashed them and defended their championships that way. So it was pretty confusing and pretty weird how they would book the match and they're getting us all excited about a Chase U kind of revivement, but they're not doing anything with it. So it's kind of something that I'm looking forward to seeing how they build it and if they can revive it in any way. But right now, it feels like that the fans are not engaged. None of the fans react to what they're saying backstage. None of the fans react to what they're saying in the ring or what they're doing in the ring. So I don't think there's any way they can revive Chase U. And if anything, we just need to get Andre Chase back in the ring to what he was doing whenever he was going against Rich Holland, and we need to revive that type of Andre Chase because that type had good in-ring matches. He was a decent character, and it was just perfect. But now, ever since Chase U was demolished by Rich Holland, we've been seeing a completely different side of Andre Chase, and it's been anything but upgraded. It's been completely going on a downfall. So if we can just revive that type of Andre Chase, I think we'll be perfectly fine. Had to get a little sip of water there for the people who were listening. But yeah, I think that the part where Hank and Tank ended up defending, I think is awesome. Obviously, seeing them defend, they're kind of growing on me, to be honest. Y'all know for the past couple of months, I've been talking about how Hank and Tank is not my cup of tea whenever it comes to their tag team and their style of wrestling and their character in general, mainly. But now their in ring work's kind of starting to grow on me. And their entrance still does not have my attention, but a lot of NXT entrances don't. So I ain't expecting their entrance to get me, but their in ring work is getting me, and I'm respecting their in ring work. So that's a good start. But yeah, I think that was definitely a filler match that they just came up with on the fly, but still pretty decent to know that Hank and Tank are still dominant. But after the match of Hank and Tank defending is what really got interesting whenever Dark State came out and attacked Hank and Tank. So that brings a whole nother level. I think we heard Vic Joseph say that it doesn't matter what brand you're on, doesn't matter who or what company you're in, Dark State won it all. So now we're knowing, and now Vic Joseph is kind of advertising, I guess, though we might be seeing him attack more champions in TNA. I hope they don't attack Leon Slater because at this point they've made enemies with everybody. They've attacked Trick, they've attacked Oba, they've attacked Javon, and they've attacked uh, Axiom and Nathan Frazier, but now they're on the main roster, so that wouldn't really do anything. And now they're attacking Hank and Tank. They attacked some TNA stars, so it's just they attacked Matt Cardona. Forgot to mention him, but it's like now we're seeing Dark State become this threat to the roster. At first, it was a great character. It was everything you wanted. Saquon Sugars caught a lot of people's attention. In my opinion, he's still the best out of Dark State. But now we're kind of seeing the whole group starting to come up to Saquon Sugars' level. Obviously not there yet. I think that the promo that they had backstage after they attacked Tank and Tank was interesting, but I mean it's okay. I mean it's all right. It's not bad. The personal concierge told JC Jane that Ash by Elegance will beat you for the TNA Knockouts Championship this Thursday. Fatal Influence then told him to leave. So that obviously gets announced. We see Ash by Elegance go against JC Jane for the Knockouts Championship on Impact 2 days away on TNA Impact. I'm actually really excited for that. I think that it's going to be an awesome match, and I'm excited to see what shenanigans go on. Maybe we see Jasmine Nix finally either walk out on JC or do something like that where we have to have Jasmine like maybe passing a weapon to JC where Ash puts JC to her last final limit, but Jasmine just walks out on her. I could very much see that. But yeah, I think that they're definitely building this rivalry up well, and I think that they're doing an awesome job from it. We also see Tavion Heights congratulate Miles Bourne on his victory last week. Um, and he told him to go and teach Lexus King a lesson. Then also backstage, we see Izzy Dame tell Tatum Paxley that the colon believes in her. So now we're kind of seeing the colon, mostly Izzy Dame, go completely into the Tatum Paxley character and accepting her into the group. So I think that's good that we're doing what we're doing there because at this point, everybody thought that after we saw Gigi Dolan get released, it was it for Tatum Paxley. But now it's kind of like Izzy Dame is stepping up to the plate and the colon is stepping up to the plate where they can kind of guide her and keep her relevant on the roster. But the main event match was definitely awesome, and we'll get to that later. Next up, we see Miles Bourne versus Lexus King in a one-on-one match, and we know that Miles has already shut up Lexus before, but now it's time for Miles to finally shut him up. I'm just going to read out what it says here. Lexus King worked on Miles Bourne's ear Bourne hit King with a release belly-to-belly suplex. He pulled his knee pad down and dropped King's ear first onto it. Bourne hit the Bourne again on King and pinned him. King was selling his ear after the match, so we saw Miles Bourne pick up the win here. Obviously, shutting up Alexis King for once and for all. So now hopefully that rivalry's done. But that is the only thing getting Miles Bourne on TV. So do we see more celebrities, more football players like we saw before to get him on TV? Or do we see just somebody come up again and kind of disrespect that he's hard of hearing? That's mainly been what the focus is on Miles Bourne right now, and I don't like that. I don't like that the only reason he's getting on TV is because he's hard of hearing. Ever since he came out and said that for the Obafemi versus Miles Bourne build up, we've been using it as an excuse to put him on TV. I've kind of been feeling that way. I don't really know why I'm feeling that way. I just kind of feel like that the only reason he's on TV is to say that he's hard of hearing. Like this whole Lexus King rivalry is because Lexus King was like disrespecting him because he was hard of hearing. So I think that it's stupid that we're doing this type of rivalry stuff. Like it was cool going into the Obafemi match because you really thought that Miles Bourne had a chance. Miles brought up this whole it felt like a Cinderella story going into Miles Bourne versus Obafemi for the NXT Championship, but then it got fully shut down by Obafemi. I thought that was it with the storyline of Miles Bourne being hard of hearing and us carrying on the storyline. I feel like it was a one-time thing, only needed to be used one time. But then we go on to put him into more storylines. Now we're finally wrapping up with the Lexus King storyline. So it makes you wonder, will they put him in more storylines to advertise him just because he's hard of hearing? Like, I just don't know how, it doesn't sit right with me. But still a great match, but I'm glad that the rivalry is finally over. Backstage, like I talked about earlier, Dark State gloated about their attack tonight and admitted that they were the ones who jumped Tank and Tank 2 weeks ago and said that they are not done yet. So obviously, they said that they're not done yet, and we know who they attacked next. So obviously, I mean, like I said before, we're going to get into all the stuff that happened later in the show, but we all know that they attacked somebody else as well, but we'll get into that whenever it comes around at the show. Next up, after we saw that message from Dark State, we see Nia Jax versus Thea Hale. Now, we know that Thea Hale, we kind of got this match announced after Thea Hale posted on her Instagram and talked about how Nia Jax just attacks people and all this. And this is how the match went. Thea Hale kicked Jax and recovered her for a count of 2. Hale went to the rope, but Jax pulled her straight down from the mat. Jax pounded her in the turnbuckles with her hip, hit her with the Annihilator, and pinned her. After the match, Jax said, Lash Legend is not going to take a name off my back. Legend got in the ring, and a fight broke out between them, and security immediately broke it up. So the match was pretty good between Thea and Nia, but it kind of felt like Thea had no chance. The only thing I've noticed this, I don't know if y'all have either, but every time Thea Hale makes her entrance, it looks like she has a chance. So that tells me that anytime Thea Hale is involved in a squash match, it's like her entrance is too good, okay? It gives her like this adrenaline. It gives me as a fan and somebody who loves Thea Hale that adrenaline hoping that she's going to win. So I think that that's what makes Thea Hale so special right now and what she's doing. But I think for sure that she's going to be a threat whenever they finally pull the trigger on her. I thought they were going to do it at Stand and Deliver, but obviously we know that didn't happen. We know that Sol Ruka won that ladder match instead, which nobody is mad at that result. So either way, I hope they finally pull the trigger on Thea Hale and let her do her thing. But Nia Jax ended up getting the victory. We know this. They've kind of went from SmackDown to NXT with Nia Jax, and I don't know how I like it. It kind of feels like we were in a full-blown storyline with Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, but then we just fully drop it and bring her to NXT. Definitely interesting, but depends what she's doing in NXT. Is she going to do some great things in this rivalry with Lash Legend? Knowing what happened in the main event during the Sol Ruka and Tatum Paxley match after Lash speared Nia through the barricade, I think that we're definitely going to have a full-blown rivalry. So I'm surprised that match is booked for next week. But man, it looks like they're really trying to put Nia Jax over here in NXT, or this could just be a one-time rivalry to remind us that Lash Legend is capable of putting on great matches. I don't know, but either way, Nia Jax ended up winning the match, and this is kind of where the rivalry all started, or kind of where the rivalry continued. After the match, whenever Nia says that Lash Legend is not going to take a name off of her back, and then Lash came out, and a fight broke out between them, and security had to stop them. So now we know that is definitely going to be something that we have to focus on in the next upcoming weeks of NXT. Backstage, Ava told Jordan Grace that I know that you'll be cleared so you can take on Blake Monroe at Heatwave. I know I'm supposed to be an unbiased, but I believe she deserves. Oh my goodness, it keeps scrolling down. She said, okay, we're going to start from the top here. Ava told Jordan Grace that she knows that she'll be cleared so you can take on Blake Monroe at Heatwave. So that match between Blake Monroe and Jordan Grace finally gets settled at Heatwave. She says, I know I'm supposed to be an unbiased, but I believe she deserves to have her butt kicked. So now we have kind of Ava on the side of Jordan Grace. Not that it matters, but could be something we see from somebody like Robert Stone that steps up to Ava and is like, "Hey, ain't you supposed to be a GM? Why are you being biased?" So we could have a little storyline that sparks up there. We know that there's been rumors or video evidence that Ava is in the ring at the PC. We know we formerly or recently saw a video of Ava and Charlotte Flair getting that work in which Charlotte gave her some respect. So do we see Ava hop in the ring? And apparently, there's supposed to be intergender matches coming back to WWE. So do we see Ava versus Robert Stone at a pay-per-view like either a TNA pay-per-view, or do we see it at a PLE like an NXT PLE? You never know. But we could have had something run there. I don't think we will. In the ring, Obafemi said that he's beaten everybody in the division. That's whenever Trick Williams comes out and says that, while you're the big dog, I'm the biggest dog NXT has to offer. I'm the man who can carry both NXT and TNA. So now we're kind of seeing Trick still running with the basis of him being able to carry two brands on his back as the TNA champion just the TNA champion. I don't know why I was saying and. I'm thinking of JC Jane. But now we're kind of seeing Trick Williams wanting to go after that NXT championship, which I don't think it's going to happen. Oba's too dominant, but Trick did point out in this promo that he's completely different than what Oba last saw. We know Oba defeated Trick last time we saw them two against each other. So what do we see now? We don't know. Javon Evans entered the ring, and Javon challenged Trick Williams to a match with the winner being able to face Obafemi at Heatwave. Or face Obafemi for the NXT Championship, which I think will be able to go down at a Heatwave. Femi said that he liked the idea and the match should take place tonight. Trick Williams said no, and we should give it 2 weeks in Philadelphia. So now we're kind of going to where Javon can really call out Trick. And I bet we'll have that be brought up, but that gives us the opportunity for Javon to fully roast Trick about how he failed the Eagles tryout. Or how he got cut off the team. So I think that could definitely be brought up. Hopefully we get a promo between the two next week, but we know we got a match between the two, with all those, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Then we see Moose enter the ring, the former TNA X Division champion. He told Trick Williams that he'll win the TNA Championship from him in 10 days at TNA Emergence. He told Femi he has not forgotten about Roadblock, where we know we saw Obafemi defeat Moose in the Battle of the Giants. So now we're kind of seeing them go back at it. At that point, Darkstate hit the ring to attack all 4 of them, with Femi, Trick Williams, Moose, and Javon Evans getting the better of them before security broke them up. But this time we saw Darkstate go a bit smarter. Normally we see Darkstate come up from the top right there, but this time we saw him attack from behind because Oba, Trick, Moose, and Javon were all expecting them to come up there. So now we're seeing the mind games come out of Darkstate. But backstage, we'll get to what next happened with that segment later. Ariana Grace told Stax that she is just checking on him, and immediately Nia Jax and Lash Legend entered the arena brawling with one another. So they keep brawling. By the way, this is like 30 minutes later. Charlie Dempsey told Ren Sinclair that it's his fault that there's no quarter catch crew anymore because he taught Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights too well. Sinclair said that she can cheer you up by singing Joe Hendry's song. Henry came out of the refrigerator, and Henry handed Dempsey a pair of pants and shirt that matched his. Dempsey said, I will never wear these, and threw them down. Henry said, I can cheer you up by wrestling you next week, and Sinclair excitedly accepted for him and Dempsey. And Dempsey walked off. So now Ren's accepting the match for Charlie. And Sinclair then took a selfie with Joe Hendry. So obviously more of a funny thing there, so I won't waste any time on that. Next, we see Yoshiki Inamura face Stax. As Inamura and Stax were fighting outside the ring, Ariana Grace came out and slapped Inamura across the face. Inamura got back in the ring with the referee trying to get Grace away from the ringside. Josh Briggs ran into the ring and kicked Inamura in the face, and Stax covered Inamura, and the referee got in the ring and counted the pinfall 1, 2, 3, where Stax would end up defeating Yoshiki Inamura. Not only does this continue the rivalry of Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura, but it does tell us that Stax is no longer with the family. He's no longer dealing with the family anymore, unless we see a interruption between either Tony or Luca. But I don't think we can just forget about this. We know that Stax won the match, or no, Tony won the match. But it's just like, man, does this mean Stax is fully moved on, or do we still see the rivalry emerge? We don't know yet. But I think that was a very interesting match. And in the ring, we see Ethan Page. And Ethan says that he's the greatest Canadian of all time. And as he starts to sing the Canadian national anthem, Tavion Heights interrupts him. He says that you're representing your country, and I can respect that. And he says that he represented the United States in the Olympics. He says he just got out of the no quarter catch crew, and he's looking where to direct my energy, and it looks like it's going to be on you. So now Tavion's looking like he's going to go after the championship. And maybe we see a U.S. title. Kind of like a U.S. branding instead of the Canadian branding. But that's whenever Chelsea Green comes out. And that's pretty weird. But Chelsea Green in the Secret Service comes out, and Green told Heights that Paige is the model Canadian, second only to me. She told Heights that you don't have the balls to hit a woman like me. Heights hit Paige and told Green that I wouldn't hit a woman, but I'll find a woman who will. So now that gets me thinking. Who is somebody that symbolizes themselves as an American woman, woman professional wrestler, either on the main roster, what I'm hoping, but I think that person will probably be Nikki Bella, because we know that Nikki kind of has a storyline going with Chelsea Green right now, but so does, 4 other superstars. So who could go out there and do it? I think Nikki Bella. So I think that's going to be my prediction there. Fatal Influence tells Lola Vice and Kalani Jordan to follow Jordan Grace's footsteps and run away. Jasmine Nix told Jacy Jane and Fallon Henley that she talked to Ava and got them a tag match for next week, and she'll let her know that she's found opponents. So now, I already talked about it earlier, so I ain't going to spend no time on it. But yeah, that happened. Nia Jax and Lash Legend continued their brawl backstage, and Ava told them they can fight each other next week as she scheduled them for a match against each other. So now that's where the match got announced. And as soon as that happened, right after that happened, Obafemi, Trick Williams, Javon Evans, and Moose were arguing with each other. Ava told them that it will be Trick Williams and Javon Evans against Obafemi and Moose at Heatwave. Next week, she says next week, the 4 of you will team up against Dark State. Hank and Tank came in and wanted to face Dark State as well. Ava said that they will have they can have 2 members of Dark State who will challenge for their tag titles at Heatwave. So that brings up Moose, Javon, Trick, and Oba. They're all filled up for Heatwave now in a tag match. That also tells us that Dark State and Hank and Tank are fully captured for Heatwave. So now we got 2 matches announced there, and really, probably, 3 matches now announced for Heatwave. Ricky Saints says that he wants to eventually be on Raw or SmackDown, but on his way there, he wants to become NXT champion, and Jasper Troy is in his way of becoming champion. He says he will defeat him at Heatwave. So that's 4 matches now. Jasper versus Ricky, which randomly sprouted out of the blue, because we know that Ricky bumped into Jasper, and Jasper threw Ricky on that cart during the Ethan and Ricky match, so that's going to be continued. But then we get to the main event. The NXT Women's North American Championship will be put on the line. Sol Ruka faces Tatum Paxley, which has Shawn Spears, Nico Vance, and Izzy Dame with her, and Sol Ruka has Zarya with her. Now, this match was insane. I'm going to read out what it says here, but I don't want to pay too much attention to it because holy cow, I want to explain it in my own words. The match was insane. I think that this match, not only proved that Sol Ruka, even with a couple of botches, can do whatever she wants. We saw an awesome match But then we saw the only botch we had was whenever Sol Ruka was trying to go for the springboard cutter off the top rope to Tatum Paxley, but she slipped off the ropes. She instantly recovered it and ended up crawling up the top rope instead of doing the springboard and hit it instead, where Tatum Paxley would reverse it and kind of hit her own neck breaker. So that didn't affect the match at all. People are going to point it out either way, but I mean, you're a pro wrestler. Sol Ruka is one of the best, or the best women's professional wrestler in ring in the WWE. So give her a break. It was one time. You'd never see this type of stuff happen to Sol Ruka, so it is what it is. And we end up seeing Shawn Spears trying to put the doll inside of the ring to give Tatum Paxley that rage to defeat Sol Ruka, but then Izzy Dame stops him and just leaves the doll there, where we see Tatum Paxley kind of get interrupted by looking at that doll, where Sol Ruka would end up hitting the Soul Snatcher. One memorable mention that I want to say is whenever Sol Ruka hit the moonsault onto the whole entire culling, not including Tatum Paxley because she was in the ring, but we saw that beautiful moonsault, and it looked so awesome. So I want to give the props there. But she almost destroyed her head on the title holder. But either way, Sol Ruka retained, and we ended up seeing Sol hit that Soul Snatcher, and I think it was a beautiful finish, beautiful everything. And we end the show with Sol Ruka holding her title high and still being the North American champion. I love it. I love Sol Ruka being champ. I think that at some point in these next couple of months, we need to eventually move her up to that main division and get her to defeat Jacy Jayne for the NXT Championship. She deserves it. She's a better in-ring worker than Jacy Jayne, and so I'm the only one saying it. Y'all are thinking it in y'all's minds. I know it. But yeah, I think it's about time we bump her to that next level. Kind of what we saw with Stephanie Vaquer. We saw her win that championship first, and then she brought up to the NXT Championship. It's time for that to happen with Sol Ruka, whether she wins the women's North American champion one time, then she goes and wins it from Jacy Jayne to be a double time champ. She definitely deserves to be like that, but she already is a double time champ. So could she be the first ever woman to hold 3 titles at once? I believe that's fact. I'll have to do some research on that. But could she be the first ever woman to hold 3 championships? Because I don't think nobody's any threat to her on speed, and I think the speed is discontinued, I believe, is what I heard. So I don't know why she's still carrying around the title, but either way, super awesome NXT tonight, and I'm so glad Sol Ruka retained. But if you guys enjoyed this NXT review, then make sure to like and subscribe, like I said in the start of this video, and make sure that you come back for more, because we're going to be doing probably the Dynamite review tomorrow if I can figure out how to watch it live. Normally I just watch highlights. I don't know if I have time to actually make the review. But then obviously Thursday we may be doing a TNA Impact review as well. And we have some indie shows coming up that I will be doing reviews for those. So stay tuned. Obviously Friday Night SmackDown as well. And sometimes I'll even do and react to y'all's hot takes. So without further ado, hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all boys in the next one. Deuces.